I wanted to ask you too that have companies. Exactly tell us a little bit about your company and why you decided to go Kickstarter. If you can give an idea of how easy or how difficult it was. And if you want to tell us how much you've raised, that would be great also. Idan?
So we, Incinitech is a small startup that started out of my garage 3 years ago. We launched the GTAR on stage at TechCrunch Disrupt about a month and a half ago using a Kickstarter campaign and using the massive press push that was a result of us ending up winning second place at TechCrunch Disrupt. I had a very successful campaign as a result. We ended up raising about $353,000 or so, selling about 850 units in the process with a product that was not, I would say, is not on the hot list of things that people are looking to invest in Silicon Valley. And that's, I think, kind of where the real power of these kind of crowdfunding platforms come in, is the ability to show that there is a market for something where people are maybe unwilling to take a risk in, which is fair. Nobody wants to invest in a losing fight. And to prove that it's not a losing fight is where the power of these platforms really play out.
Can you give me a real simple idea on Kickstarter? So you go on, you have to sell something. These are just not donations.
Can you hear me? No.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so the idea of Kickstarter is it gives people the opportunity to support a creative project that they want to see happen. And initially that was people just giving donations to support a book being written or an art gallery show occurring. But in response to the donations, people earned rewards. So if you give $25 or above, you get reward number 1. If you get $40 or above, you get reward number 2. And as kind of Kickstarter evolved, people started using it as a pre-order mechanism for products. So it's like, I have a product that doesn't exist yet that I want to make, and I have this idea. If you give me money now and you commit to supporting me, I will give you 1 or 2 or however many of these products you want in however many years or months. And what this does is, so for example, a company like ours, so my company makes math and science toys for young girls that girls don't realize are educational, that girls think are fun. And for us, manufacturing is a capital-intensive business. So the normal order of a business is you have an idea, you raise money, you manufacture, and then you sell it to customers. And that's asking investors to take a risk on you really early before you even manufacture a product, before you've confirmed demand. And so what Kickstarter enabled us to do, what is enabling capital-intensive businesses to do, is to kind of take things out of order and to say, okay, I have this idea, yes, it's capital-intensive, but can I fund it with pre-orders now? And if enough people want it, then I can go in and do manufacturing. In our case, our demand was very large. We sold 1,300 units on Kickstarter, and since then, we have a wait list of almost 1,000. So we're raising money in traditional channels now and scaling up manufacturing to produce a lot more units in time for the holiday season. But what Kickstarter did for us was it gave us market validation in an area that huge companies have tried to succeed in and failed. So making educational toys for girls is something that hasn't really taken off. And so for us, the confirmation that people across the world were willing to buy this toy and that newspapers are willing to cover it, for us, that was enough validation to now go into VCs and say, we're not that high risk, even though we're hardware.
Does it make you, and anybody can answer this, decide at some point maybe you don't need to go to a VC?
I think that there is always going to be a place for venture capital in the growth of any serious business, and to take certain risk elements off of the table to allow for a VC to take you seriously, to believe in that your company can grow to a certain size. That's a valuable thing. And one of the benefits of taking those risk elements off the table is that the resulting terms tend to be a lot better, giving a small company that has kind of proved that there is a demand for a product that was not there before, allowing them to have the leverage to do as they please, as well, to actually have execution power in those deals. Where sometimes if you take on money maybe too early, you end up not having very much control in your company at those later stages. So it's a give and take, like anything.
Are you getting courted now that you've raised over $300,000 on Kickstarter by VCs?
We got courted more by the angel community that was around TechCrunch Disrupt. We raised a little bit of money from some of the people that were judging us on stage. We've talked to some VCs, but until we get end market traction, I think it's still too early for us to take that seriously. So later, soon.
Jennifer, have you had the same experience?
Yeah, so Kickstarter really opened a lot of doors for us in terms of investors coming to us, newspapers and news publications coming to us, and so that's just been, has had tables turned, and, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Like Don was saying, is that we've proven that we have a market, and that puts us in a completely different position than a company would normally be at our stage, given the lack of, if crowdfunding didn't exist.
No, Rand, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think a lot of these products are actually products that VCs would not have invested in. So it's a little bit of a different sort of market. So at least the VCs in the Valley just do not usually invest in these kind. I mean, if you grow into Kickstarter, I don't know, like probably 80% of the actual products are, either consumer electronic or stuff that you can touch, and VCs by and large do not invest in these. And to some extent, you can argue that's the only way maybe you can get VC investment in these kind of like products, either there or just a seed round that gets you to the same place.
Ted, are there any pitfalls with something like Kickstarter for a company?
I honestly don't think that there are. And one that people might point to is the way that Kickstarter is structured is it's kind of all or nothing. So when you launch on Kickstarter, you set a goal for the amount of money that you think that you need to successfully complete your project. And if you fail to achieve your fundraising goal, you collect nothing. So if your goal was $10,000 and you collect $9,902, you receive zero.
Sounds like a TV game.
Clearly, it's part of the gamification of the site. Is they want you to be committed and to use all of your resources to make sure that you hit that goal. And they've developed a lot of statistics to show that that's in fact working. That as the project gets closer and closer to the goal, in fact, some of the people that were earlier supporters of yours may come back and help you to get across that goal because they are as invested in the project at that point as you are. And I'd encourage anybody who's thinking about doing this or interested in doing it. Kickstarter has been very generous in posting a lot of statistics about their projects, and from which I think that you can learn quite a bit. I was very intrigued by the number of projects that they have that receive no donations whatsoever. And I think there's a real message in that, which is back to the drawing board.
What's the number on that?
It's about 18% of all of their projects.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And then I believe it's over 80% of their projects that go over the 20% threshold eventually succeed in a fundraising on Kickstarter. So there is some value to try again.
I actually think that there are also additional challenges with the model. I mean, first of all, for a startup, you end up with this fundraising, and you actually have liability. You need to supply something, and most companies, I don't know how you guys manage that, but sometimes you're not able to do it on time, and that's a problem. And it's different than a supportive VC or angel that it's okay. We our deadlines are being pushed all the time. And it's okay. I think.
I may challenge you a little bit on the support of VC and missing
We can choose your VC.
Yeah, no, there's some former CEOs who would talk about that.
Yeah. So that was one thing, and I also had another thing that I don't remember.
Jennifer?
So I think that Kickstarter kind of realizes that. There were a lot of companies initially that didn't realize, for example, how expensive fulfillment was. So once you have the product, you actually have to pack it in a box and then pack it in another box and put a shipping label on it and then ship it. And this is a step that a lot of companies forgot about, and as we were doing research before our Kickstarter campaign, we learned that we needed to calculate that, and actually it's really expensive, and it's a huge portion of the cost. And so, that's one place that a lot of companies have gotten stuck in the past. And another place is that, just physically building the product turned out to be more difficult than people thought it was. And so, for example, when we applied, and I don't know if the same thing happened when you applied, we had to kind of show them that we had the skills on our team to build the product ourselves.
You had to show Kickstarter.
Yeah, so we had to show them that we actually had a mechanical engineer, had an electrical engineer, had a manufacturing plan, knew exactly how much each step of the manufacturing process was going to cost.
So before you go on the side, they have to approve that you are prepared to deliver
Yes.
on your offering.
So they've changed. I think they kind of realized, because there have been companies that haven't delivered, and so they realized that. So now their vetting process has elevated.
How many products did you offer? Did you offer just one?
So we have one product.
Mm-hmm.
It's a room that girls build themselves. So it's walls and furniture building pieces and a circuit and decorations. And the rooms themselves are attachable side by side and stackable, so you could build a whole structure with them. And so our first level was just a sticker, support us. The second level was a t-shirt. And then the third level was one of our products. It's called Ruminate, and the second was two, and then we had 2 Ruminates and 4 Ruminates. And then we had at the bottom, give us $5,000, we'll come to your house and play with your daughter. Nobody. So it was just many of our products, but I've seen things like, if you support my design of an art gallery, I'll write you a handwritten thank you note. Some people do that.
And what kind of